Okay, I guess we'll start it off with any questions and we'll wait till the rest of the folks jump in. Anybody have any questions on single family?
I do, but I'm going to wait till we actually get started.
Hi,
No problem.
I was interested in your approach to these new squatting laws, particularly in Baltimore, where I happen to have a single family, where they're giving fines to the property manager if they change the locks. If somebody has come in and squatted on a house, and I'm just trying to figure out what type of legal strategies you might already have in place to stop that. It's not fair to the property manager or the owners of the property.
Yeah, I mean, we've been out of Baltimore for a little bit. We still have some houses there, but that was predominantly one of the reasons we don't invest in Baltimore anymore. Just we had one lady that lived in the house for about a year, just with games and going to court and escrow and such. And then we've had squatters in there that we would no more than rehab the place, and they would be in there. Keys for cash still work. Sometimes we employed tricks with waiting for them to leave and then quickly change the locks. Anything I say, disclaimer, I'm not sure if it's legal or not, but you know what I mean? It's like you have to be creative to kind of, abide by the law, but still protect your asset. And we kind of don't understand why it goes that way, but that's kind of some of the stuff. I guess keys for cash work the best, or trying to send them down the street, or just waiting for them to leave and change the locks. We had one guy that rented our property, and the people moved in. That luckily they just left. They didn't put up a big fight, but they gave him a deposit. Some random guy, they gave a deposit, and it was our house.
Yeah, that's what you run into. People say that that's their house and create a rental agreement with a person, and they move in, and then the real owner comes by and everybody's clueless. So that's like a trick that they also do. But I know you can't change the locks, but if they're gone and they can't prove ownership of the house and they're already out of there and you change the locks, then I guess it's their word against yours in court. But if they've turned on something and put it in their name, then they're going to have tangible evidence that they had possession of the house. So I guess it's kind of a delicate thing. You'd have to go through check the utilities to see if anything is in their name to protect yourself.
Thank you.
And then coupled with COVID, and they were able to get some benefits from, and they didn't have to pay a certain amount of months with COVID in place. Then that caused another issue with landlords not getting their monthly payments. We have one that's actually up in not Cumberland, Elkton area, where they put in for they went into
some kind of assistance.
Government assistance, where they're still trying to battle it out how much to give him for assistance for this place that he's living in, one of our houses. And that's been going on since October, and they still hadn't come to an agreement. He hasn't paid anything since October, and we haven't gotten a cent from government assistance or anything from the program. So it's stressful. It's but I guess you have to have exit strategies, and that's why you really have to build reserves.
So we're talking statewide, not just to Baltimore.
Exactly. And it's throughout, because we do virtual real estate in different places as well. And you see it in a lot of different, places, a lot of different cities. Mostly it's in cities. So sometimes it's easier in the suburbs and outside the cities to invest. And they're not quite as stringent with their rules.
And we are in 11 different states, so we try to pick landlord friendly states. So here in Florida, we're in Florida now where we live. So it's the rules here are a little bit different. We have had, I guess some issues, but usually you can get them out within 30 to 40 days.
Oh, what city would you recommend I plant my flag in that big state of Florida?
Of Florida. The prices are high here, but the rents are high. So, I can speak to Sarasota County is good. We have property up in the Panhandle. We haven't had any issues up there. We try to stay out of the actual bigger cities because there's more code violations. There's more issues with the rental inspections. And that's not to say that we don't want to do things right, but it's an extra cost that $50 or I don't even know what Baltimore is up to now, $75 or something plus the inspection. So, it saves money on some of the other things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Well, I guess it's past 7:30, so we can start our presentation if everyone's ready. Hi, Roy.
So I'm
Hey,
Jane
ladies.
Irwin. Thanks for being
All
here,
right.
Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Thanks for
I gotta get
supporting us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't. I thought it was starting at 7:30, and then I saw I was joining a call. I was like, "What did I miss? What did I miss?" So
Yeah, we actually start multifamily at 6:30. So then there's a multifamily group, and then they just kind of spring into this one. So
okay. Well, no, I'm excited to learn. I guess yeah, I'll let you guys start the presentation because I did have a question about the HUD property. So we'll see what if it gets answered in the presentation.
oh, cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay. I'm Sharon McKenzie. We are part of the virtual REI Academy. We're going to be talking about how to acquire houses through the HUD Homestore. And HUD is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And when someone with a HUD insured home, fails to meet the payment requirements, then the lender forecloses. Once that happens, HUD pays off the lender and acquires these houses. This is a way that investors can get these houses for a discount. And there are rules, and we're going to go through broad, brief. We have 15, 20 minutes, but, this could be a whole couple-day program, but we're just going to give you a broad overview of how it works and how you can acquire houses through the HUD Homestore.
And actually, we're pretty hands-on, so we don't have very many slides. Well, I think we have one slide, but we're more hands-on to kind of show you how to get to the HUD Homestore and how to actually bid and that kind of stuff. So we're going to start sharing our screen.
We're going to give you an example of 4 of our houses that we've acquired through HUD.
So we have pretty many properties under our belt, and about 24 of them were through the HUD Homestore. These are just some of the ones that, and as you see, we have them both in Florida and Maryland. So this one, the 104 Walkley was our very first one, and we did good with that one. And then the 3218 Westmont, we actually kept that one as a rental, and as of tomorrow, that one we got that back in 2016. And we're selling that as of tomorrow. So that one will be off our plate. Another Baltimore property gone. And then these 2 in Florida, we got the one in St. Petersburg. We ended up flipping that one and selling that pretty quickly. And then Sandhill Crane in Rockledge was the most perfect ever wholesale deal that went awry. It took 1.5 years, but we finally got it to the finished plate in probably 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 4 months ago.
And disclaimer, it's with HUD Homestores, they're not wholesales, they're simultaneous closes that you have to do. That's one of the rules with HUD, but we'll go through that once we show you how to bid on them. The first rule is that the first 15 days when a house goes on the HUD Homestore, it's for homeowners and nonprofits. Once that 15-day period is over, then it's open to investors. And a rule, if you buy it as a homeowner, you have to live in it for at least a year before selling it. So we always look for the ones that are open to investors.
And we do know somebody that tried to end around with that, and they were buying them as a I don't even know, nonprofit or just a regular person. And they eventually got caught. I think they did some jail time, so it's not worth it. So basically it's HUD.gov. So you want to get on this one. There are other sites that kind of act like they are the HUD Homestore, but they're paid sites. So you definitely just want to be on the HUDHomestore.gov, and then you'll be at the right place. And this is what your screen's going to look like. If I can have been having some computer problems, and of course we're going to have them. So basically is, there are certain things you do need. All the HUD properties, you have to have a realtor who is HUD approved, and you have to have a title company or lawyer that's HUD approved. So they have to approve those things. You have to have those things lined up ahead of time. And then, once you get your realtor, the realtor is actually the one that is going to put the bids in for you. So you have to find an investor friendly most of the time, because if you're taking 5, 6, 7 bids a night, they're not necessarily going to be too happy with that. Best case scenario is to find one that you can become their assistant. And we've been successful with that. Maryland, Florida, and Georgia, we have things. We just do the bids on, ourselves as their assistant. That way they just collect a check, and that's pretty much all they do. We're to the point where we can help them fill out the contracts and such. But so just, this is what your screen's going to look like. We're just going to pick Florida because that's where we are. And this little block right here, if everybody can see that,
It says buyer type.
Buyer type. And this is where, if you do have a nonprofit, you can certainly bid with that. Good Neighbor Next Door, Dollar Homes, all that is, certain people. So you want to go to the investor. So that's where you want to be doing your bids from. And there's not as many properties, because as they funnel through, you're going to see that, if we're all, there might be 30 properties. And then when you go to the investor part, you don't have quite so many.
And you can go to all just to see what it looks like it's coming up in the next few days so that you can prepare for it. But just use that as a tool to see what might be coming into the investor side.
And we typically do go to the all just to, as Sharon said, see what's coming up. Or sometimes if we're looking in a specific area like Sarasota County or Manatee County, we'll just look to see if they don't ever make it to the HUD Homestore. Florida's been kind of crazy. During COVID, this site was almost null and void. There was hardly anything that was, trying not to make you guys dizzy here.
Especially with the market, how hot it was. Now that the market's coming down, there's going to be more opportunity to buy HUD homes throughout the nation.
And I don't want to go to Spanish. I knew this was going to happen. So let me get back here. Stand by.
Does anyone speak Spanish?
Right.
No.
Let's see if I can get it on.
I don't know why your screen's active.
Of course, my screen's active today. Right there.
You need me to
There we go.
translate that for you, Jane?
Yeah, I do. Do you know Spanish?
Yes.
I need somebody to fix my computer. It was really
That I
neat.
can't do.
All right, I'm trying to get to the second page because we had one picked out, of course.
I don't know why it's doing that. And of course, when you bid on the HUD homes, you do not bid full price. We usually bid 60 to 65 cents on the dollar, and then see what comes back.
So, well, we'll pick another one. It's not going to work like I wanted it, but so you
So
can see
Jane,
here
were
the
you not able to put the cursor on the number 2?
correct. My screen is acting.
It's giving her half the screen. It's not pulling it up for a full screen.
I got these little emojis on the side or something. Maybe if I
Oh,
do that.
there it is. Okay, there's the 2 right there.
All right, I
Yeah.
got little emojis or something.
Okay, she was able to click into full screen.
Okay.
Cool. So, and we just picked this one out because I already have them. So Brandon is close to us. We're going to take a look at this one. Just some little things. So this one's been on here for a while. We've been watching it a while. the dollar sign means the price is going down. And this is going to be a real brief overview just because of the time. We're trying to keep it to 15 to 20 minutes. But so we're going to pick this one, Brandon.
We could literally do like a 2 or 3 day class on all the algorithms and the ins and outs and how you get houses easier through HUDs, but.
So right here, you have all the pictures. So that part is pretty cool where you can just look at all the computer technology, right? So it's a pretty nice looking house. It's a brick house, got a garage. You know, and then right away we're gonna look at how much they want, which is 224. We're gonna run our comps, which you know, we're not realtors, so we can't always bug realtors to get a, you know, a comp report that they would run. That's very time consuming. Early on, we tried that. We're like, hey, can you give us comps for these 30 houses that we put bids on? That doesn't make a realtor happy. So you have to find other things. We use for our comps, we use investor comps as one comp source, and then we also use PropStream. So either one of those two will comp it out, and then plus Zillow. You know, those estimates not always right, but you know, it's in the ballpark. So we'll see what this comps out as, and then typically we're going to take this to 224,000. We're going to times it by 65, and then subtract what we think are rehabs. You know, sometimes we don't. Most of the time, we don't even look at the house. We bid blind until we're actually ready to get it. We bid blind, and as long as we're at 40 to 50%, you know, there's not going to be any problem if you're 50% of the ARV.
One good thing about the HUD Homestore also, it has a report that tells you or is that behind there?
Yeah, so remove the people around here.
The addendums.
So, you know, that's the other good thing about the HUD Homestore. It has amenities. So this, you know, it's going to say the garage, it's slab. It's going to give you some particulars. Then on the addendums, it's going to have like some closing questions, property disclosure, property report.
The property condition report is what we go off of for because we bid blindly.
Lead paint, and then some compliance reports and some other stuff. So if you hit the condition report, I'm going to try to find that someplace else.
There's an inspection of the houses when HUD gets the houses before they put it on the site. They have an inspection. Somebody goes out there and goes up on the roof, looks at the systems.
So you can see all this. You know, this one's a little bit different. I don't know why they say NA for all these. Some inspectors do better, some not so good. We've seen them where they've had like every little system, there's everything wrong with it. Like this guy was obviously didn't check a lot. He was just visual. He didn't get up on the roof. Sometimes the electric's off and they have to turn stuff on with the generator. Almost every HUD house, you'll have to put some kind of a appliance in, whether it's all of them or some of them for whatever reason.
They most always do a pressure test. And as you see, the pressure test failed for the water supply. So it needs some sort of plumbing. It's got some sort of plumbing issues.
So right away, you can kind of gauge your repairs off of this stuff. You know, it's if this was a good inspection report, which this one isn't, it would say the air condition worked or didn't work. So right there, if the air condition didn't work, then, you know, you got to put, you know, at least, I don't know what the going rate is up in Maryland, but down here, 6,000 to 7,000 in Florida for an air condition. If you have a good guy, or if they can fix the other one, then you know, you might know you're going to need an electrician. Some houses need everything. Some houses don't need much. The one we wholesaled in 761 Sand Hill Crane was in fairly good shape. I think they had to put maybe 10,000 in it, just carpet paint, whatever, just to clean it up a little bit. So right here is your, you know, is a good report. And if this report is good, you know, that's something you can use when you're trying to sell the property. If you're going to double close on it, you know, wholesale at double close, then all you have to do is send this out along with the pictures, and you pretty much don't have to leave the house to go look at the property. So that's another benefit of the HUD Homestore. Is everybody following so far, or any questions, or slow it down, or?
Well, I mean, I have a question that hasn't been touched on yet.
Sure.
So my hesitancy, so just curious what your ladies' thoughts are, is when you buy on these, yes, you're going off this inspection report and everything like that, but you never truly know until you get to the house or whatever, unless maybe you do buy it from, 50% or 60 cents on the dollar. Sounds great, but what if like there was a crater and that went through the basement of the floor and you just never know, and now you're stuck? So I mean, you win the bid, you have to close on that within like what, 24 hours or pretty quickly?
So, okay. And once we get to that, so say we win the bid and we get the house, you actually have 48 hours to get your EMD in and also get the contract in. It's kind of, back in, I guess when we started in 2016, it was awesome because it was paper. So that 48 hours to get the contract in was actually a benefit, because if you forgot to put something on the contract, then it's actually, they would send it back, and then you have another little bit. And it's no harm, no foul with the HUD Homestore. It's all based off the computer and algorithms, so that they don't know that I didn't, if I won the bid and didn't take it, they have no idea. It's not like they get mad at me or they say you're forbidden from bidding again. Sometimes we have different tricks, and we, if you guys want to do a little more detailed class, we have little tricks where we bid full price to pull it off the market, to give us time to go look at it. Like if it's, farther away than what we can get to right away, or we can't get to the house right then, the under $50,000 houses, we'll bid blind and maybe take a chance on them. Obviously the higher dollar signs, we're not going to do that. Or if we just think it's a good wholesale, there's a lot of tricks for wholesaling it, where like we can look at a property and then we can kind of put it out there and see how much interest there is. We had a property in Daytona Beach on Dorothy Street. I had not even signed the contract, and I put it on, I think that one's a Craigslist back in the day, so that was like 2018, I think. So we put it on Craigslist. It was in Daytona Beach. We didn't have time to go look at it because we're 4 hours away. I had probably 18 replies, and people are pretty much, I'll take it. So A, we had priced it too low, and B, I knew there was enough interest to go ahead and get the contract, get it under contract, and then go ahead and move it on a double close.
We did the similar thing and up in Bonifay, up at the Panhandle. We put it out there for renters because we wanted to acquire that as a rental. And we had probably 50 people that wanted to rent that house before we even had all the paperwork filled out. So we knew to grab that house, and then we got it rented. It needed very little work, and then we got it rented pretty much immediately. So you kind of feel the waters too.
So you win the bid, then there's like a 48-hour time frame to get the earnest deposit in. If you decide to not follow through with the deposit, no harm, no foul. You don't get like banned from ever doing it again. It just goes back into the lottery.
It takes 24 to 48 hours, before they're like, oh, this contract didn't go through. Then they throw it back on the site. And we've done that sometimes. Like, we had a very good mentor, and actually that was how the HUD Homes came about, because we didn't like negotiating in the beginning. Like in the very beginning, we were like, God, they just tell us the price and they won't come down. So this is like a no negotiation. You just put your bid in, they either take it or they don't. So it was, a good thing with that. So sometimes we would bid on it, and then by the time we went and looked at the house, we'd realize the repairs were a little bit more. And then you don't take it, and then we would lower our bid. So we've got a couple houses that way as well, where, the rehab was a little bit different, and they don't, they're not like, well, you bid on it before and didn't take it, so you can't have it. They don't, it's all computer generated now. It's algorithms. And, one thing we have found is that, you have to be consistent. So again, that's why you're trying to look for an agent who is going to let you be their assistant and put the bids in. You know, we've had some agents that forgot to do it and then we lost the house. We've had some agents that forgot to get the paperwork in the 48 hours. So I want to control all of that. And as much as I can control, then the more the deals are going to come. And then once that agent starts getting, you know, just starts getting
Busy.
checks, they're just going to be, okay, you guys go do your thing and I'll collect my check.
Yeah. Last question then, sorry to take up the slots, but so once you, if you win the bid, you want to do the deposit, that deposit is hard. So now you are locked in once you do the deposit. And then there's really never a way to get in there with your own inspector and visually get inside the property. You have to do everything kind of visually from the outside. I mean, that they're selling the property as is, they'll give an inspection, what they have. But other than that, you win the bid, you put your deposit down, you're buying the house. It's not like you can then do an inspection and say, you know what?
No, you can absolutely, you can do an inspection and all that.
There's a realtor who is it's a listing agent. So the your realtor can get with the listing agent and get the codes or get you in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's other sites when like you go to some of the other auctions, like you don't have access.
Right.
My understanding was to get inside of a house, you're buying it at an auction. You win, you have to settle up that day. So it's always kind of, you know, frightened me a little bit.
No, it's some of the auctions are different, and we also buy off of Hudson and Marshall, and you know, some of them you have trouble getting in. You know, and that you brought up a good point. Actually, you know what? Let me do Maryland because you guys are mostly in Maryland. But, I'll do Baltimore.
It actually shows you a list of HUD friendly realtors.
So yeah, so all these guys have to be approved by HUD. There's a certain paperwork you have to do. So all these people are approved, and you can see there's no shortage of them. So any of these agents, if you're bidding in Baltimore, you just call these, you know, these folks up and say, you know, hey, John Keller, I'm interested in bidding on the HUD Homestore, and are you NAID approved? And as long as they're still, you know, in compliance, you know, he can do the bids for you until you get that relationship. You know, again, it comes down to relationships and being comfortable with people and knowing they're not going to do craziness. But, you know, so he would go ahead and do the bids for you. And then, you know, once you put the bid on, and then it's like you get a confirmation that says either you won the bid or you're, sometimes they just ignore you because your offer was so low. Or what you're really looking forward to getting is saying, we declined your offer, but we would take this. So then again, it's a lot with the algorithms and percentages, but you know, if they come back at 85%, then typically if you put in 75% of the offer, you'll go ahead and get the bid, because they'll tell you what the net is that they're looking for. And if those numbers work for you, then cool. Or you just keep bidding and kind of try to wear them down to get the house. And like all these guys are in the Maryland area. So if anybody wanted to bid, then you just find somebody here, have a conversation with them and try to get that.
And the earnest money deposit isn't too horribly bad. It's like under 100,000 is $500. Above that up to what, 250 is 1,000. And then it goes up from there a little bit. And then there's been times that we did put our EMD in and solidified the contract. And then when we went to the house, that was something wrong that it wasn't disclosed. So we went back and, went back to HUD, and they actually gave us our EMD back for one reason or another that wasn't disclosed. Either it might have been title issues, or one of them, they had it.
Yeah, one of them was listed as a single family house. It was actually a duplex, and that was in Dundalk. So, we just kind of went back at them and said, hey, you guys didn't disclose this. It's, some different things that we have to deal with. And they were just,
it wasn't permitted right. And it was like permitting issues on the duplex. And also there are ways that you can get your money back.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Anybody else have any questions, or I think
So
we probably went over for 15 minutes.
Is HUD paying your realtor?
They get, the way the percentages work is, they get the HUD person selling it gets that, and then your agent gets some, and that comes out of it's not like you're paying extra for that. Your bid is what your bid is, and then you just pay closing costs.
It's the commissions are part of your bid. So they get their commission based on the bid amount.
This is Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
Hi there. You mentioned that this has to be a double close. To me, a double close is like you're flipping the properties to someone else. Can you explain that?
If you do, well, if you want to keep the house, you would just close on it yourself. But if you want to sell it to an end buyer, then you can't wholesale it. It has to be a simultaneous double close. And then you have to put a stipulation where you're using the end buyer's money capital to do both closes.
And where do I make that notation?
We just put it
Just in the contract.
in our comments section in our contract.
Okay.
And a title company, like there are certain title companies that are more investor friendly and they're more used to closing on HUD bids, and they're more used to closing on, simultaneously. So, you always want to do your due diligence on your title companies as well to see if they're comfortable with that. Some of the title companies that refuse to do these simultaneous closes and using the end buyer's capital.
I'm familiar with those.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
But do you see a lot of, this is Nicole, I have a question. Do you see
Sure.
To me, it seems like there's a lot of transactional money out there that you can get fairly easily, and it may cost you a little bit. It's only 1%, but if you don't have the money and somebody won't do using the end buyer's money, that's another way to go that's fairly easy, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that's a
And
great point.
they'll accept the transactional funding.
So
Sure.
what you're typically doing is finding money from a transactional lender who will lend money for 24, 48 hours for like 1%. And you take that money into the closing, and then your other buyer closes, and you pay the first guy back and take what's left.
Got it.
Luckily,
Okay.
we've not had any issues using the end buyer's capital, but we definitely would go that route if we did have issues in the future. That is a great alternative.
And kind of something that you learn as you go on. Like now we might, like early on, it was, we were more in the wholesale mind. Our mentor kind of turned us into like, we can do anything with the property, but, now we might just, partner with somebody, find somebody that wants the house, just take a little bit of equity or, partner with them 50-50 and go from there. But, just kind of things you learn as you go on.
I see. I've been trying to do something for a lot of years and nothing pans. I'm hoping this year is the year.
Well,
It's the market's starting to open up where it's not, where it's not such a high market. So.
And really, like, we had to adjust a little bit. Like, we absolutely love the HUD Homestore. That was what we were, we learned that right off the bat. We focused in on that very intentional, very persistent. So we started getting a lot of properties, but then you'll see that, then other people start, saying, oh, and then you get on some wholesale lists. And, the bottom line is once you close and partnering early on with, with people, then they know that you're actually going to close, because there's so many people out there that are like, yeah, I want it. They never close on it, so then you kind of distinguish yourself that you'll actually get it to the finish line, you'll close, you'll take the property. So then more opportunities come where, things open up with wholesalers, or, word kind of gets out that you actually do close on properties and you're just not fake it and never close. And we just found the HUD Homestore was just, there's no negotiation, there's no nonsense. I used to bid every night at, probably I think it stops at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I would wait until, the very last minute. I'd put all the bids in because sometimes one would pop on really late. And, I don't know how it works where it pops on, but like one would pop on really late and then, like everybody else was sleeping. So I got my bid in first if it was a good property. One we lost by probably, and I still kick myself. It was a mistake by them of over $100,000 and I went cheap. And I think I bid, like the property was probably really worth, 200,000. It was on there for like 150, but they accidentally did 15,000. And I was like, well, I'm the only one up at this hour. Let me just bid 20, but somebody got it for like 21. Like that would have been a home run wholesale.
So sometimes they do make mistakes with the prices.
Okay, I'll look out for that.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a lot-
Anybody else have any other questions?
I'm saying there's a lot of new stuff that just looks like they just popped on.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And these, like, again, like Maryland is, so we're going to go, so this is for all, you see the number of them, but when you go to investor, it was one. So there's only one property in PG County that popped on there. So Maryland's still fighting back a little bit. I know during COVID, and that kind of like threw us for a loop. We signed off and went to Hudson and Marshall. We could probably teach a class on that too. But basically there was nothing on the HUD Homestore. There, maybe one or two properties because the foreclosures had come to an end with the moratorium. So nobody was foreclosing. The HUD Homestore was empty. Florida people were buying silly. So they just, as soon as it popped on there, people were paying over ask or the ask price. So there wasn't many on there. Now you see in Florida, there's 2 pages. Let me check Georgia because that's the other one.
And this is, new. It was like ghost town for a while, but now it'll start coming back on in Maryland as well.
Yeah, so Georgia was another one. We typically have boots on the ground there. So
we like areas in Georgia.
Now there's like typically for the last 7 or 8 months, there's been one property on there. So now we're starting to see a couple more pop up. So, and because we are in different states and we have, and when I say bid blind, I'm not like saying run out there and don't do any due diligence. I mean, we do a lot on the computer. You can use Google Maps. You can use, you want to see where the Walmarts are. You want to see where churches are. So you want to do your due diligence with comps and all that. And then we do find boots on the ground. So it's either, places we have an affinity for with family, friends, other people. Roy's in a different part of Florida. So if I found something down in, the Delray Beach area, it would be very easy for me to call and say, hey, can you go look at this house? Here's the code, whatever. So, it's not just willy-nilly just buying properties and not doing any due diligence.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we knew somebody who bought a property and they did it without having anybody check the property. And when they got there, the property was not there anymore. It was completely leveled. So
wow.
Yeah, we're not saying don't do anything. We're just
wow.
Is closing time and closing process same to like any typical closing?
Yeah, it's 30 days typically. You can get extensions for various reasons, and the one the perfect wholesale that we had, that one was, that was the issue. There was some title issues on their part, and that's another reason why we like HUD over. That's a good point. We like HUD over like some of the other ones because they clear all the titles. Like, so they clear all the liens. It has to be a good deed. It has to be perfect. It's not. You're not going to find any liens or any like pop-up surprises or any of that. It's just going to be clear title and it's clear sailing from there. So the one that we had in Rockledge, the Sandhill Crane, had an HOA pool violation and then a pool violation for the county for like $70,000. So that made it not a good deal. And we had to keep putting in these extensions, and I lost count, but I think we were up to, 35 extensions. Every 15 days, you got to put in an extension. So we had to do that for almost a year and a half. Most people would have probably given up and just like forgot an extension, didn't get it done, whatever. And they would have put the property back on the HUD Homestore, and somebody else would have grabbed it because the property also went up, probably,
That was before the market
yeah, like
was high.
we
We got
got it right before the market went up. The market went way up. I think it probably put another 75,000 equity on it. So, and we had it under contract as well. It was on the East Coast, and we weren't going to go over there and flip it. So we had already signed a contract, and we honored that contract, even though that was, they made probably an extra $100,000 on it. But, that was just persistence getting that to the finish line, but other than that, it's usually a 30-day close, and you have to close it by then unless there's, some kind of other circumstances.
You have to pay extension fee if it's on your end. If it's on their end, then you don't have to pay, but you want to make sure you do close when you say you're going to close, otherwise you're going to pay an extension fee. It's usually $500. Or is it $250 or $500?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. Can't speak to that.
I was gonna
It's less. It's like 125 maybe, or
Yeah, I was going to say it's not 500.
it's not much.
Yeah, I think it's 125 or 250, something like that for if it's on your end.
And if you can't find the money, like in those 30 days, or, if you're getting private money or whatever, that is a good, you can use that and say extension, and then just for whatever reason, they'll typically extend it for you for that 15 days.
Okay. Well, you guys are a wealth of information.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Guys have any other questions about the HUD Homestore? Or, we can speak a little bit to Hudson and Marshall. Not much on auction.com, but Hudson and Marshall, or any other real estate questions?
Who were they?
It's another site where they sell bank-owned foreclosure houses.
Okay.
She's going to pull it up now. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Does HUD Homes let you buy in a LLC? Does it have to be an individual?
Yes, it does. It typically, and that's another thing we probably did. We probably made a little bit of mistakes, tax ramifications. Because you will probably get them easier and quicker if they're in your personal name. So some of our houses were in our personal name just because, you get them.
They will award the bids to people in their bidding in their personal name before a company name. So we would bid in our personal name and then put it in a trust for estate planning purposes, put the property in the trust right afterwards.
So Hudson and Marshall is just another site, service link, and then you can put in your state, or you can do the upcoming auctions, which just made everybody dizzy on that one. So these are probably going to be the auctions that are going on tomorrow, and typically it's by state, and
they're all over
all over the country.
The country as well. I'm not sure if they're in other countries or just that country.
So these are just again, more houses, different areas. These are all bank owned, different ones. Sometimes they'll have ones where you can actually go to the courthouse. They'll be on there too. But just another site. We've had pretty good success with these. If you do win a bid, then you have to take them. The EMD is a little bit higher. Typically, it's $2,500, even for the lesser than like this house in Kansas. It's $22,500, but your EMD is probably still going to be $2,500. So there's no gambling on these. It's
You'll get in a penalty box for several months, the first and second infraction, and then after a while they'll just kick you out completely, and you won't be able to bid at all anymore.
And like the very first time I bid on this one, I didn't really know, and somebody had just told me about the site, and I didn't think I would win them. So I just went in and I bid the least amount on every house in the states and cities, counties we had affinity for. And I ended up winning like 18. They called me the next day with all 18 wins that we had. So
whoa.
I kind of had to explain that I didn't mean to do that. And I was practicing and I didn't know I was going to win. So
they worked out well, because then we had a guy that felt bad for us and worked with us that was a representative of Hudson and Marshall, and would kind of tweak things for us and help us out getting properties. So we have properties from them afterwards. But It was pretty funny.
And like in Maryland, for you guys up in Maryland, I think it's Tuesday is your day. So Thursday is our day here in Florida. I do look at the Maryland ones, sometimes too, but down here it's should be tomorrow, and you guys up there are usually Tuesday. So the bidding goes off up until 11 a.m. and then after that they close it down. So again, we could, if you guys wanted to learn more about that, we could.
And you'll have a representative call you if you're close and say, you didn't win the bid, but you're close. Do you want to up your bid a little bit more?
Okay.
But they're not allowed to tell you the amounts. They can just kind of a little bit more and you might get it. And
The last time I asked if I was in the ballpark, and he said, "Girl, you're not even in the right city."
Now, are these ever occupied or are these?
Yep, some of them are occupied. They will tell you on here. I'll try to see.
and you might be able to get them cheaper if they're occupied, because a lot of times they're occupied with people that aren't paying or squatters.
Right. So right here, this first one on Essex Street in Chicago is occupied. So that's you're gonna want to bid less. The other thing I don't like about Hudson and Marshall is you have a minimum bid. So you're at 60,000. You can't go any less. That's the minimum you can start with. So whereas the HUD Homestore, if I want to bid $5, I can bid $5. But so you have to kind of, be more you have to do a little bit more to start. You can't just throw out a bid.
But we have gotten some good houses on Hudson and Marshall.
Yeah, I was gonna say we probably picked up maybe 15 or 16, and we used this during COVID. I think last week we talked about the one in Starkville. That was actually a Hudson and Marshall. So that was 13,000 that we got that one for. So we had picked up a lot. You'll see some of them will start at 12 or 13. So if you can get them in those different areas, and
and it was during COVID, so we couldn't boot them out right away, but it was worth it to us because the house had a lot of equity in it. So 13,000, it was a no brainer. They were able to stay in the house until we were legally able to get them out, and got an attorney to help us, and we got them out pretty quickly after that, and had fixed it up and got a family in there. So, sometimes you just have to, you get a good price house, but you got to deal with the headaches. If you're willing to deal with the headaches and go the extra mile, then you can get some pretty decent houses with good equity for good prices.
That's actually probably a good niche for somebody, is deal with the occupied homes, because most 90% of the people don't want to deal with the problems. So, any other questions? On this or anything else?
I think at some point in the future, you guys have done so much virtually, and I know a lot of people have a big interest in that, not having to drive out to the house, check it out, and all the other stuff. So maybe we can do a Teaching Tuesday. It'll probably take a whole month to go over everything you need to do it virtually, but I think that's a big attraction to a lot of people that maybe want to invest in a different state or something like that. So just something to think about. So if you guys think that would be of interest, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll make sure we put something together for you guys.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, we kind of did that by accident, because we lived in Maryland and we were in the process of moving to Florida, but that kind of happened quickly. So it was more like we had to pay attention to both markets. And then once we had some great partners that helped us along the way, and mentors. So basically, that just became the way we had to do things. We couldn't keep driving to Maryland to check on the contractor. So we had to learn how to kind of pivot and do things that way. And it was like, hey, we can do it, because we had to. So we might as well do it, because we want to.
Other states too. And our mentor always told us, don't put the keys in the ignition until you smell the money. So that was kind of what we used as our.
So can you talk just a minute? I'm jump in here, and then I think Joyce had another question.
No, I was going to say that made sense.
Okay, about the Virtual Real Estate Academy and what they might find there.
Yes.
And what the URL is for just a minute or two.
So we can put the URL. Well,
Right.
James, can you take care of that? Putting that in the
The chat.
Yeah,
chat.
um,
Let me pull it up.
with Nicole and James and the two of us, we are part of the virtual REI Academy, which is a platform that has all kinds of opportunities for learning and teaching. We have different topics that you can find in there and review and get some more further information on. We have a group of people that are investors and teachers that have put content on it. It's a wealth of we're going to continue to add to it. We're going to have classes, virtual classes, as well as in-person classes in the future.
Yeah, and we're pretty excited about this. This is new for us, teaching, but we feel like we've done a lot of deals. We've also made a lot of mistakes, and we're very hands-on. And I think, too many people don't tell about the mistakes they made.
Mhm.
So we would rather teach people about the mistakes so you don't make them, and you can go be successful and not take the bruises that we did. So, I think that platform is going to give us ability to do that so that you guys don't make the same mistakes we did. And you can see different things, different strategies. Real estate has been so good to us, and there's a million things out there you can do, but you just have to hone in on some stuff and learn the right way to do it. And I think this platform will help everybody do that.
Yeah, there's so many niches out there and so many opportunities and ideas. And this is a collaborative group of great minds coming together and providing valuable content.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're excited. I think it's the third Tuesday, and we're having some good guests that we're excited about. We're excited. We have a big network of people with a lot of different groups. So we have some of those folks coming in to teach on property management and mobile homes, which is just a very exciting and low entry point. So you can get in a little bit cheaper. You can rehab cheaper. He's done very well at that. So we're looking forward to the next couple months and building this community and teaching people the right way to do things.
And if you're not on our
Sounds
list,
good. Mhm.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying it really sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
if
Thank
you're
you.
Glad you're here.
Yes.
Mhm.
If you're not on our mailing list, just send an email to support a virtual REI Academy. We'll make sure you get on the list. And then as we send out, notices about the meetup, which is once a month on the third Tuesday, that way you make sure that you get the actual information, know when to actually log in and stuff like that. We'll also put it on Facebook Live as well.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Mhm.
Nice job,
Anybody
you
else?
guys. It was a nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob left you a nice comment on the chat if you want to look.
I had one question.
Sure.
Sorry, this is Erin. And we don't, not for this session, because obviously we're getting to the end, but if we could do a future session, just like real basic, like go back to how you guys assess each deal and like, how do you determine, is this a good one or not a good one? And kind of walk through that. That would be like amazing.
Sure.
That's
Yeah, not a problem.
That's great. That's a great idea.
Okay, cool. Thank
Absolutely.
You bet.
you.
We try to provide content for people who are just getting started, as well as people that are intermediate and higher levels. So we like to provide the whole gamut for people.
And
Yeah,
we could actually
version.
probably take just the HUD Homestore and take one property and then walk through the whole property when we have a little bit more time. Maybe we'll do that when we have like an hour to go or something. But
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be
okay,
super helpful.
awesome. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you all. Nice meeting you.
Good luck with those squatters, sir.
I'm trying to dodge them.
I hear
I
you.
know. That
That's
gets my blood going when they're squatting in my house and I can't get them out.
That's so frustrating.
I was
Just so you
granted
know,
an eviction date, but but now I'm trying to be prepared once I get my eviction date next month and go from there.
How long is the eviction process taking up there now?
It's about the same. But if they show up with money, they get to stay at the court. But this time the tenant showed up at court without money. So I got an eviction date.
That's good. That is so frustrating. It's like, and then you hear stories about how squatters go into soldiers' houses while they're overseas, and then they come back home and can't get into their house. You hear like so many horror stories. It's a shame.
Yeah, there was a famous one with somebody that was doing the sovereign citizen squatting thing, and it got somebody's mansion in Maryland. It was I don't know, going on close to 10 years ago now, but he's almost a teenager, but he was in this mansion where the person had a mansion in the Midwest and a mansion on the East Coast. And the neighbor said, "You don't live here." And he didn't do a lot of jail time. He might have got time served for the couple of months that he was waiting on his trial date or something crazy, but that was outrageous.
Crazy stuff. I hadn't heard that one, so I'll go
Yeah.
back and maybe look at that just for
Definitely.
fun. Cool. All right, guys. We had a blast. Hope you guys did too and learned a little bit. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah, hope to see everybody next Tuesday.
what are you guys talking about next week?
Is that Sandy?
No. Wholesaling.
Wholesaling. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you, ladies.
Perfect.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
See ya.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.